What's up, Dad Bod Nation? Dad Bod Steve. We've got another great story for you today. Another one where we have a high to a low, back to a high. Someone who is influencing many others to come back to God using her religion and also her Facebook and Instagram to help others realize that they can come out of recovery and be successful in life. We have Kiaya. Kiaya, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course, of course. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay. My name is Kiaya. I'm a single mom to a little boy. He just turned 1.5, and he is the light of my life every single day. I'm so lucky I'm his mom. I work from home full time, and I'm a paralegal. I do landlord tenant law, so I handle evictions and things like that. Which I'm lucky that I get to work from home, so I'm able to take care of my son as well. And I'm a recovering addict. I was in active addiction for 10 years, and I just recently felt the need to start sharing my story online. And it's been such a huge blessing and something that I'll continue to do. And it's been super fun.
Awesome. And I always tell people never be ashamed of your past. Always share, always post because it can, even if it helps one person, right? One
Hmm.
person, totally worth it. Totally worth it. So, and my wife follows you on Instagram too. That's how I found you. So
Oh,
it's been a lot of
nice.
fun seeing your progress and the things you post. So, go ahead and explain, how life was growing up and, what it was like moving to Utah, as you've said in some other podcasts, and kind of go from there.
Okay. So I grew up in a religious family. My family is LDS, Mormons, for people who don't know what that is. And they're awesome people, great values, great morals, have great parents, great siblings, like no super traumatic things happened when I was really young. My dad was my bishop growing up. We lived in a super small town. We were friends with everybody. Like it was a great childhood. Things started to go south when we moved to Utah, which it just makes me laugh every time because, like, Utah is home of the Mormons, and so you think it'd be great and everyone's nice and welcoming, and that's just not true. And there are nice and welcoming people. I'm not going to say the whole state is bad, but the first ward that we moved into, the girls my age just weren't super nice to me, and I was about 11 at this age, and this time, and yeah, it just really kind of broke my spirit and broke my confidence. And it was just super scary because we moved there before school started. So I was like, oh, I'll get to make some friends here. And it just ended up not happening. And I was then super scared to start school because I was like, oh my gosh, is everyone just going to be this mean to me, So I struggled a bit in sixth grade. That's when I started. Oh, no, maybe I was in no, it was sixth grade. Yeah, sixth grade. So I was super shy, super scared. I dreaded going to school every single day. Um, and then as time went on, a couple years later, I ended up getting sexually abused by another boy my age. And that really has affected me up until like just a year or two ago. Like, affected my confidence, affected the way I looked at relationships with men, thinking like, oh, this is the stuff that you have to do for someone to like you. Because after that, like, because I froze and didn't know what was going on, he basically made fun of me for it because I was 13 years old. Like, I had no idea what was happening, and he just made fun of me to all of his friends, and all his friends would, make jokes about it to me, and yeah. So I was like, wow, I really screwed up, and that's like no one's gonna love me unless I do these things with them or whatever. And so I carried that for how old am I? 32, for another 15 years basically. Um, and after that, I felt even more worthless and like dirty and just no confidence again. And became friends, started to be very rebellious after that. After that was kind of the catapult for me to just like go against everything my parents were saying and like wanted to, be a bad girl or whatever. And my friends would like listen to bad music and smoke weed and swear. So I started doing all those things. Um, and I ended up getting introduced to heroin a few years after that. I was 16 years old, and we were in my friend's shed where we would smoke weed, and someone brought it out. I had no idea what it was, I'd never seen it before. And they asked me if I'd done it before, and I said, yeah, of course I have. Because again, I just wanted to fit in. I don't want to act like I'm not cool or I don't belong or get made fun of or something like I had before. And yeah, first time I did it, I was hooked. I it just made me feel confident. It made me not worry about anything else that was going on. I kind of just basically all my worries and anxieties just washed away, like I was invincible basically. And that's basically why I loved it so much. And the next day I asked for some more, and that was basically the end of that. So that started a whole almost 10-year journey of my addiction to that. And I'd um, gotten in trouble when I'd gotten in trouble before I was 18 because I was charged as an adult even though I wasn't. My parents had called the cops on me because they found weed and a pipe and stuff in my car. So I was on probation as a minor, and had to take drug tests and things like that. Well, I had a job where my boss knew I kind of struggled with addiction and ended up doing a random test, and they called me to do the test, and I told them I can't take a test. So they're like, you have 24 hours to complete a test and turn it in, or you're going to be fired. So I tried to like go drink a bunch of cranberry juice and crap and went and took a test somewhere later, and I ended up failing anyways. So it was like dumb, but then I got a probation violation. So I had to end up turning myself in once I was 18. Um, and that was my first time in jail. And I had to do 48 hours, I had to do a weekend. And by that time I was hooked. I had such bad withdrawals that entire time. I didn't sleep the entire 2 days I was there because I was just so sick. I got out of jail, and while I'm in jail, my parents are like, "Oh, this is gonna wake her up." I don't think they realized how bad what I was doing. I'm not sure if they really knew like what was going on. They just knew I would like had some problems or whatever.
Did
Um,
any of your parents ever go through the same thing, or anyone in your family ever go through this?
my mom kind of had an addiction in college to, I think, alcohol, but it was very short lived. Um, but I have like uncles and things that have addictions. I have cousins that have passed away from overdoses and things like that. Um, but not much in my immediate family besides that small amount of time for my mom.
Okay, so they're a little familiar with it, though.
No, not really.
No, not really. They didn't.
No,
Okay.
not to the extent of what I was going through. Um, but yeah, so my mom was like, "Oh, this is it. Like, she's gonna never want to do this again, and that's gonna like scare her straight." And that wasn't even the tip of the iceberg, not even close. Like, that was basically just the beginning at that point. And I got home and I took a shower, and I was right back trying to find something so that I wasn't sick anymore. And shortly after that, my parents basically kidnapped me and took me to a detox center up in northern Utah. And later in, I was almost 19 because I ended up having my 19th birthday in rehab. And I was doing okay in there. Like, I was sometimes like, this is stupid. I was still trying to like be cool, which, by the way, doing drugs and being an addict and going to jail and rehab and like terrorizing yourself and your family and friends is not cool. Like, that is not the way. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, I want to be a bad girl still. Like, stupid. But anyways, so I'm like, sometimes I'm like, yeah, this is good. Like, I feel fine. Like, I'm not on drugs. Like, I'm doing okay. And then sometimes I'm like, no, this is stupid. Like, I tried to run away a couple times, and they were on the phone with my parents. Like, if you step foot over this line of the property, like, that we're going to send the cops out to get you, you know? So I ended up staying, I think I stayed 60 days. It's hard to remember that long ago, but I think I stayed 60 days. And my boyfriend I had at the time was supposedly clean while I was there, and he came with my parents to pick me up from rehab that day. And on the way back home, it was like an hour or two drive or something like that. I saw a text coming through on his phone asking for drugs, and I got mad, and I was like, "You're supposed to be clean. I'm clean," type of thing. And I was like, "You're taking me as soon as we get to my parents' house. You're taking me to go pick something up." And that's what happened. I got home and I talked my parents into letting us leave. And within the hour, I'd relapsed again and was back doing the same stupid stuff. And within 2 weeks, I was back in jail, just like that, like not even long at all. And the judge, once I had my hearing, he was like, we can let you out, but I can tell you obviously have some problems and you're so young. Like, we're not going to let you leave unless you leave the state, basically. So at this point, my oldest sister was like, we'll take her in. And she's married, she has kids and stuff. Like, she's just the best. And she was like, I'll take her in. So that's what happened. I don't think I even could go home. The judge was like, no, you can't even stop home and get a pack a bag. Like, your parents are going to pack your bag and you're just going to leave straight from the jail, or you're not leaving at all. Like, so I got in the car. I talked him into letting us get McDonald's, I believe, and we were on our way to Vegas. And I was living with my sister, and she was like, you need to get a job. You know, I'm 19 years old. So I got a job at Cafe Rio in Las Vegas, on Blue Diamond. And I was working there for a month or two. I can't remember exactly the times, but I was working there for a little bit. And Halloween comes around, and it's slow, and so there's not much people there. I'm the cashier, and a couple of guys come in, and one of them leaves his number. So I have no friends there. I'm not doing anything besides like babysitting my nieces and nephews sometimes and hanging out with my sister and her family. And at this point, I'm still clean and I'm doing pretty good. So he leaves his number and we start texting and stuff. And he's a little bit older than me, maybe 24 or 26. I can't remember. And we end up hanging out, and he love bombs me and sends me a bunch of roses and acts like he's just this knight in shining armor. And I open up to him about being a heroin addict specifically. And one night when he comes to pick me up and we go to his house, he has a baggie of opiate pills, Roxy's, as a gift for me. So I relapse that night, obviously. Um, and shortly after that, I get kicked out of my sister's house because they asked me to take a drug test because I'd been acting, not normal like I have been. And I get kicked out of her house, which is the right thing to do. I shouldn't be there, around kids and stuff. And I'd broken the promise to my sister to stay sober. And so I end up having to move in with this guy. And at this point, he's switched his entire personality. He's now very abusive. The first time he hit me, I remember we were sitting outside of a restaurant or something, and we were in the car and we were fighting about something I don't remember. And he just like out of nowhere just punched me right in the face and sitting in the car. And I remember as soon as that happened, a memory came to me of my mom saying, like, if he hits you once, he's going to hit you again. And as I'm like thinking of this, like, oh no, like I've never been hit before at this point. I'm 19 years old, still a baby, basically. I've never been punched by a man. And so I'm like in shock. Like, what do I do? Do I get out of the car? Do I like, what's happening? Like, my mom said this, like, I don't want to be in this thing. And as I'm thinking of this, he's apologizing and then tells me that he loves me for the very first time as a trap. And I'm like, oh, he's like so sorry. He loves me. Like, this is what I've been wanting. Like, I just want someone to love me, because I
Yeah,
just
it's that pattern.
yeah, because I
It's a
just feel
pattern
so
of abuse.
yes, because I just feel so crappy about myself. I want someone to love me, and that will make me feel better. And so he knew what he was doing. He told me he loved me and that he was so sorry and that he would never do that again. And that was a bunch of crap. It got so much worse, to the point where, like, sometimes I couldn't even talk. Like, if I talked without him, like, saying I could speak, like, he would just hit me. Like, and he would tell his friends, like, you can hit me while I'm, like, crouched in a bathroom corner. Um,
He let his friends hit you also?
he told them that they could. Luckily, his friends never did. But just like him saying that, like, "Hey, you can have a turn," was just
It's horrible. Absolutely horrible.
it was humiliating, and just degrading as a person. As I'm like hiding and crouched in a ball, like couldn't go anywhere. It's just you really breaks you down. And yeah, I like the beatings were basically every day. And he's at this using drugs to control me basically. And we don't have any jobs at this point. Like, he's robbing houses and things, and yeah, it's just a a bad situation. And um, I remember getting out of the shower and looking in the mirror, and I just am covered head to toe in bruises, like every inch of my body, basically just completely black and blue, and my eyes and everything. And I'd taken pictures in case, like, I actually decided I was going to turn them in, like, just in case. Like, I just thought to take pictures, and I emailed them to myself because he would often take my phone and change my password so I couldn't get in and call my family or whoever. And so I'm like, oh, I'll email them to myself so that he can't find them. Well, he did, and he deleted them and got mad at me for taking such a picture, that's incriminating to him, or whatever. So I got beaten for that as well. And then after that, he told this to me, that he's going to start hitting me in my head so that all the bruises are covered and I can't take any pictures of it anymore. And so that's what he did. And my head would be so many bumps and bruises, like it would just hurt to lay down. Um, and yeah, he was just a pretty awful person. Anyways, we ended up getting into robbing houses together. I was now involved in that, and he had told me that I had to stop getting off. I had to get off of heroin. That he didn't like that, so I could only do whatever drugs he was doing. So I withdrawed from that and just did whatever he had. And we ended up getting arrested one day, and I still didn't leave him. And because at this point I'm, trauma bonded to him, basically. Like, I just feel like I have no one. I don't see my family really. I don't have any friends besides him and whoever he brings around. He's told me that I'm lucky to be with him. I'm worthless. No one else wants me. Like, I'm just a piece of crap, basically.
Yeah, I'm
And
so sorry that you had to go through all this too.
yeah,
It's nobody should ever experience something like that, ever. And for those watching, a lot of times what abusers will do is they will make someone feel like they're the only ones who can like be with them, right? And they actually manipulate their victims into thinking that there is no life outside of that, and they just have to deal with it, and otherwise life will be over, right? And that cycle that goes through your mind it's scary for a lot of people, very scary. So again, I'm so sorry that you went through that. Nobody ever should ever experience something like that in their life. And so sorry to interrupt you too.
no, you're
Go
good.
ahead and continue. But yeah, I just wanted to get that in there because it's important. So if someone else is going through the same thing, they can realize, hey, there is a way out, right? There is something I can do.
Yeah. And another thing he did is he would, because I would try to call my family members. Sometimes I called my sister. I didn't tell her what was going on, but she came and picked me up and took me to volleyball. Well, he ended up finding where I was because he knew that she went and played volleyball there because I talked to him about it, and dragged me out of that church by my hair, and told me if I like left him, like he was gonna just go kill my sister and her family, like stuff like that, because he knew where they lived and stuff. And so you just feel trapped, and that's what they want you to feel. They want you to feel like you have no one, and that if you leave, like, you're going to ruin everything, basically. So yeah, I was trauma bonded to him, and also scared of the repercussions of what could happen, just because I knew he was just a scary person. Um, but we ended up getting arrested, and we got out of jail, and it just went back to the same crap. We didn't have a house to live in. We were living in weeklies at this point, and just in the bad part of Las Vegas, which is pretty scary. Um, and like, I remember we're in there and we're on drugs again, and he strangled me till I passed out, and I woke up, and the door to our weekly was open, and he was gone. Like, he didn't care if I was dead, who came in and did whatever to me, because there's always, just not great people around that area. That's just a fact. And the first thought I had was, oh my gosh, I'm alone. Like, I need to find him. Like, that's how screwed up it makes you, like, that kind of relationship. It's just scary to think, like, that's where my mind went as soon as I wake up from him literally trying to kill me. Um, but shortly after that, I finally had enough. I don't know what it was. I can't remember exactly, but I just was there. And I'm not sure if he was there or not, but I was like, I just need to get out of here. Like, this, I'm going to die here. And I called my dad. And of course, my dad just came running. Like, he drove 2 hours just to come get me and save me and take me back to their house. And my parents have just been so awesome, even though I've been like a complete disaster for a long time. But he saved me from that and took me back to St. George, Utah, which didn't end up being good because now I'm back around my old friends again that I haven't seen in forever, and I relapse on heroin within like a couple of weeks. I think not. It didn't take very long, and so I'm back doing that same stuff. I'm getting arrested now at this point there too, um, and getting warrants, running from the law, kicked out of my parents' house because they didn't want to enable me, which is the right thing to do. That enabling an addict, it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help you. So I'd been kicked out of my parents' house and had so many times I'd been arrested and then didn't go to the court afterwards. So I have all these warrants racked up. I don't have insurance on my truck. I don't have a license or registration or anything, I don't think, at this point. Um, it's 2019. I'm almost 26 at this point. And I end up getting pulled over, and obviously I have warrants. They're not just gonna let me go. So they're searching the truck. I'm sitting on the sidewalk. I know I'm going to jail. And the cop just comes over to me, and he was super nice, which isn't my experience every time, obviously, because they see you and they're like, you're just a piece of crap. Like, you have all these problems. And he was very nice and respectful to me. And he just came over to me and he said, this could be the best day of your life. And that was it. Turned around and walked back to my truck. And I was like, yeah, right. Like, you have no idea. Like, I'm not unfixable. Like, there's, this isn't going to help me. I've been here literally 1,000 times before. Like, and I was like, I just want to get out of this, basically. I end up getting arrested, and I end up getting in trouble, and I get put into solitary confinement. And I'm so sick, withdrawing, can't sleep, can barely even sit down because it's just the withdrawals are so bad for me. Um, and I'm just sitting in there, and and I'm all alone. And I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is embarrassing. Like, I'm getting old. Like, I don't want to keep doing this. Like, I keep letting my family down. I haven't even like talked to them in who knows how long. They don't even know where I am. Like, I just want to do better for myself, and I can do better, you know? And so in that moment I decided like I'm I really want to actually try and get sober, which was not a good time because I couldn't even go to my court dates because I was in trouble and I was in solitary confinement. I wasn't even let out. Think I got let out every other day for an hour to like take a shower and walk around the G block or wherever I was. And so I couldn't even go and like do anything. I didn't have an attorney or anything because I couldn't even leave. And I end up making friends through my small window in my door and through under my door. I could like pass a note because one of the therapists, my mom, I think, called the jail and was like, she's probably not doing well. So the therapist came and got me and gave me like a broken pencil, and I had my like charges on my piece of paper. And so I'd like pass notes underneath the door to call my mom. And they get a hold of my mom, of course, because she's probably expecting a call from me. and they tell her that I said that I wanted to go to rehab, which I've never really said before. You know, I've just gone because they've made me or because I would get in trouble otherwise. So she got an advocate for me, that someone that just goes around and tries to advocate for addicts to go to rehab, and because jail isn't really a great place to get recovery. I know a lot of people do, but it's not the best environment. You're just meeting other people who have the same problems, who you're just going to connect with on the outside and then have the same problems together. Like, that's my experience with it anyways. Um, so they went around to all of my different judges, which there were like 4 or so, and all the judges released me to go to rehab, which was literally a miracle because I had so many charges. I had so many warrants. Like, they could just tell that I was just like a serial criminal and drug addict. Like, that's just what I looked like. And so the deal was is that my mom could come pick me up from the jail. She could take me to the house real quick to pack a bag, and then I had to go straight to northern Utah to go to rehab. So that's what happened. She dropped me off there, and I actually was like trying to learn and trying to help myself and figure out why I am the way I am and how to change it and make better habits and all the things. Um, Usually when I went to rehab, like I said, I'd try to be cool, like, oh, this is stupid. Like, I'm just here because I'm in trouble and I'm trying to not go to jail. Like, basically, that's the kind of attitude I would carry around. But this time I was like actually trying to be like, no, let's do this. Like, you do not want to be with like me. Like, this is not fun. Like, we can do better. Like, we can be successful and have a great life and still make a great life for us, you know? Um, and there was times in there that people like we would go on field trips, you know, and we went to like a museum somewhere, and one of the guys was like, "Oh, my apartment's literally like right down the block. We can all just run away and go get high." And he's like trying to get this group together to just like dip. And I was like, I am not doing that. Like, I am here to like try and stay. So no one ended up going, and I was like that like terrified because when you're on drugs, like you just feel like you're untouchable. Like you're invincible. Like it doesn't matter if you get in trouble. Like who cares? Like I just did so many stupid things. But like once I'm sober, I'm like terrified to do anything illegal. Like, so I was like, we cannot leave here. Like, but, so that's kind of the attitude I was carrying. And I actually had people like kind of looking up to me in there, which was new for me because for good reasons, you know, not for bad reasons. And they're like, wow, you should hear her story and stuff, which was kind of cool. And I was kind of like inspiring like younger kids and even people who are older than me. And that was like the first taste I had of like trying to actually help people with, you know, the same things I've struggled with, which was pretty exciting and really rewarding, even though it wasn't like a ton. But my roommate was 18 years old, and she had the attitude like I did when I was 18. This is stupid. Like I'm like this big bad girl. Like I don't want to be here. And I kind of was changed her mind by the end of it. And she was my best friend. Sorry.
Totally take your time.
Um, she was my best friend in there, and she felt like my little sister. And I braid her hair and stuff, and we were just really close. And I would just tell her, like, you don't want to end up like me. Like, you're so young. Like, you can just turn it around and not never have to come back here again, you know? Um, and there was another girl in there who was older than me. She was probably in her 30s. And she would just, like, say so many negative things to my friend, and that, like, as soon as you get out, like, you're going to relapse and things like that. Just awful things to say that really were ticking me off. And it was over a period of time. I was there almost 70 days or something. I was wanting to say 90 days because I wanted to actually get the longest amount of time I could. And my friend came and told me that she said something else and that she was doing something. And I'd already warned this girl, like, and my emotions are still all over the place. I'm still trying to, like, be normal, like, whatever that is. And I just snapped and I ended up assaulting this girl because I really don't like bullies. I don't care if you bully me, but you're not going to bully my friends and people who don't or can't stick up for themselves. That just really irritates me. So I made the wrong choice. Violence is never the answer. I assaulted this girl and I ended up getting kicked out of rehab. And that was just such a low point because I had to call my parents and tell them that I was getting kicked out. And to them, like, that was like the world is over because now, like, they obviously think like, oh, she's right back. She's the same person she was when she, you know, whatever. Like, I'm still like I'm going to go relapse or who, you know, all the things I'm sure anyone would think if they got that kind of phone call from their daughter who's trying to be sober. And that wasn't the case in my mind. Like I felt so bad for my parents because I was getting kicked out, but in my head I was like, I am not going to relapse. I am still have the same plan. Like, and I really don't want to like disappoint them even more by going out and just using. So I got put into a hotel for the night. And the next day I was going to find like a sober living place and somewhere to go to outpatient rehab. And so that's what I did. I did not leave my room that entire night because I was just terrified that I was just going to go outside my door and find someone who was on drugs and I wasn't going to be able to handle it right, you know. So I just stayed in the room until I was able to get to my outpatient and sober living place the next day. So I didn't relapse. I went to the sober living. I did well there. I did outpatient rehab there. And I ended up getting in a pretty bad accident. I shattered my kneecap and I ended up having to move back to Vegas with my sister again. She took me in again. like, um, so I moved back to Las Vegas and I'm still doing good. And once I'm with my sister, she kind of starts telling me, because I'm just a loner basically at this point. I've changed my number. I've deleted so many people on Facebook. Like, I don't want to go out because I don't want to relapse. And she was like, "You need to meet good friends and go do something fun." Because I would just go to work and then come home and just do nothing. And so that's when she kind of introduced going back to church. And so I was going to like the singles ward, um, and trying to meet new friends and stuff. And I'm pretty introverted anyways. I wasn't when I was super young, but then all these things happened, and now I'm just kind of introverted. But I and plus I'm newly sober. I'm not totally comfortable in my own skin yet, and basically just keep it to myself, even though I'm supposed to be there making friends. But I end up falling in love with church there, and my bishop was just super awesome, and just told me like that's where I belong, and like who cares, because I was self-conscious because I had tattoos and all kinds of things, and I had nose piercings and whatever. And he's like, who cares, like you're so awesome, like I can tell like your countenance is just so bright, and like this is where you belong, and you've been through so much, like you deserve to be happy and to have this happiness here, and God loves you no matter what, and like all these things. And just like I was just like, wow, I feel like I belong here, um and I end up really loving that ward. And even though I still wasn't like totally outgoing or anything, but I just loved hearing everyone's testimonies about how they love Jesus Christ so much and they love their Heavenly Father. I just thought that was like such night and day from my friends and hanging out with them, and we listened to like these terrible songs and like just terrible attitudes, and like, you know, not, I mean, not always, like I love my friends and I still love them, but it's just night and day to like talking about this to now seeing these kids my age like just talk about how much they love Jesus Christ. I was just like, whoa, this is so crazy. Like, this is pretty cool. Like, I'm not used to it, but I'm loving this. And I would just come home from church and I'd just tell my sister, I'm like, today was just the best day. Like, I just learned all these things and I just felt so great. And I was just like super spiritually pumped. Like, and that didn't, I mean, I still had my ups and downs. Like, I would get addicted to vapes and stuff, and like stop going to church because I was dating someone who wasn't LDS and things like that. But for the most part, I was still doing really well. I'd have like slips where I'd go into like depression and stuff, but I've realized what helps me the most with my depression and anxiety is working out. Even if it's just for a few minutes a day, like I'm a single mom now, even if I just get on my little stair stepper thing for like 20 minutes, I feel so much better. And it's helped me so much because I don't want to take anything. I don't take any prescriptions. I know it does help people, but that's just a personal choice. That's what's helped me the most. I feel like in my recovery with addiction and things like that, my depression and stuff is being active, especially being a toddler mom now. I'm running all over the place. I want to stay fit. I want to keep up with him, but so once I was still, I had some bad relationships with some guys in between there. Some that would just, I don't know. No one I don't think I've been with has ever really respected me, just as a woman or as their partner or friend or anything. And I'm getting older now. I was 30 or something, and I met someone online, and it's very easy to lie to someone when it's long distance like that. And I was love bombed again, and I was, feeling pressured to have kids because I didn't want to get too old, and I wasn't going to have my own family or anything. So I ended up falling for this person, and it was basically their entire life was a lie. And um, I ended up getting pregnant before we were married, and I'd barely known this person because again, when I was sexually abused, I thought in my mind like this is what I have to do to get love and to be loved, and that's just not true for any of you women out there. If someone makes you feel like that, that is absolutely not true, and they are not trying to get you to do that for the right reasons. They should let you make that own choice. If you ever want to do that, like you should never feel pressured or like that's what you have to do to get love, because that's absolutely not right. So I end up getting pregnant, and once I read that pregnancy test, um, my mind was just like, I have to be the best mom I can be. And by doing that, to me, was being a committed person to Jesus Christ and to be a committed member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And in that moment, I was like, I just need, because I still had one foot in, one foot out. Obviously, I got pregnant before I was married and things, so I wasn't doing everything right. I was still going to church, but not following all the guidelines and whatever. Um, but after that pregnancy test, I was like, okay, this is not just about me. Like, I'm having a little one, and even though it was so early on, I was just like, I just need to do this. Like, and so God knew I needed my little man to help push me to be who I was meant to be, and he's just the biggest blessing I've ever had in my whole life. Like, to think like I was someone who just was so depressed and miserable in my addiction, like I just wanted to be dead. To now I'm a mom to him, and I just am so blessed that I'm able to be here and be sober and to be his mom, because it is literally such a blast. Like, it's it's so fun every single day. Like, waking up and seeing him, I'm just like, I cannot believe I'm living this life. Like, how lucky am I? But I end up getting married to this person because in my mind I'm thinking like I want to keep the family together. I don't want my son to grow up without a dad, and like what's that going to look like, and I don't want to be alone, and that's just so embarrassing to like get pregnant and then I don't even have like, a partner, And so I end up getting married to him, which was not the right decision because he was not a good person to me. He would do things like be out gambling all hours of the night and just leave me there home alone pregnant and just not tell me where he is for days at a time. And I kept forgiving him because he would say the right things and say that he's sorry. And I'm used to relationships that aren't great, and I let it go on for too long. Um, and that's another thing. If someone is treating you wrong while you are pregnant with their child, like, it will not get better once you have a baby. And that's what I thought. I thought like once he sees how good of a mom I am, like he'll want to change. And that's not what happened. It only got worse. And he cheated on me, and yeah. Anyways, it was not a good relationship, and he was not a great father to my son. And that was basically the last straw for me. So I filed for divorce. Um, and so now I'm a single mom, and it's freaking awesome. I'm a proud single mom, and it's been such a blessing, and I love my son, and he's saved me in more ways than one.
Oh, that's awesome that your son, I think kids change us in so many ways, right? I have three kids. My oldest son is 18. He has autism, and it's a
Mm.
definite struggle. But at the same time, he's helped my wife and I grow in so many ways. So many ways. And he's made us realize our shortcomings that we need to work on, especially with patience when it comes to teenagers, hormones, and autism all in one, right? And so being able to have your son help bless you is huge. And kids are great. They can be a challenge, but they are awesome because as a parent, right? And you can totally attest to this, when you see those milestones being hit and they're learning things, they're progressing towards things, they're getting over challenges, right? There's nothing other than being proud and just being so happy. Like that's what we live for now. My wife lives for my kids, I live for my kids, right? And we do it in different ways, of course, but having a child is one of the biggest blessings in this life, for sure.
Oh yeah. It's been so much fun. And now I was doing well before I had him, like I wasn't using or anything, but now having him, I'm just like, I would never ever put anything that I have going on right now at risk because I have this amazing little person who's perfect and innocent that I'm responsible for. Like, I'm his only parent that's, around a lot, and like I would never put anything like that in jeopardy because it's just not worth it. Like, this life that I'm living now is just so night and day from where I was. It's like people who meet me are just like, "Whoa, like that's so crazy," because I could never see you doing that. I have a bunch of tattoos, so you could see that I could maybe have been a little bit rebellious from people at church. They're like, "Oh," but but yeah, no one, everyone's like, "Well, you don't look like an addict," but that's like the thing. Not everyone. Addiction does not discriminate. It does not care who you are or where you've been or where you're going or anything. Like, it can snag anyone, and a lot of my friends who have passed away, my roommate from rehab, she just recently passed away from an overdose. And it doesn't get any easier. And it's really hard to see your friend still struggling, and you have this amazing, joyful life now. And I think it's gotten harder actually, because now I just am so happy every single day and I have so much joy. And so seeing my friend who just passed away recently, I just wanted that for them so badly, and it just hurts that they never found that and never found that joy. But it's it's amazing because to get over addiction like that, it's hard to do it by yourself. You can, But I definitely wasn't alone. My Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ were there for me every step of the way. And looking back at my life, I know they were there watching out for me, and my guardian angels were, because there's no reason I should be here right now. Like, I was in such bad places and overdosed alone, and things like that. There's no way I should be alive, but I am. And I've now taken those pitfalls and those rock bottoms and those things that I struggle so much with, and I've now turned it around, and I use it to share hope and light to other people, because you can recover and you can get out of bad relationships and you will be okay. Like, my son and I were like thriving. I don't have a ton of money. Like, I'm a single mom, so but we make it, and we're just have so much fun, and I have such a life full of joy and happiness because I know my worth and I'm a child of God, and I'm just so loved by my Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ. No matter what my past was, they love me in spite of that, and they love me because of that, because now people are so proud of me, and they're so proud of me that I am able to turn something like that into a gift, into a blessing to not only myself but to those who are still struggling with it. And it's been just an amazing experience.
That's one of the best things about the recovery community too, is because so many more people are coming out and sharing their stories, right? And they're not ashamed of being of their past, and they shouldn't be, because it's helped them grow in so many ways. And that's the whole point of why I started podcasting with people, is to help share those stories, because everyone's story is different. Everyone's recovery is different, right? It doesn't work for everyone. Not everyone had the same experiences. And so being able to share as many stories as possible to help someone who might be going through the same thing that you went through, and them saying, "Oh man, I can do this. I can get out too. She did it. I'm going through the exact same thing, and look, she's thriving now." And that's the hope, right? We want to make sure people can see that there is something to get out there. And it's been amazing talking to people and seeing their success and being able to help share that. And again, I thank you so much again for sharing that story, because it takes a lot to share. Because, growing up, you're a lot younger than I am, but when I was growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, it was always hide it. If you have any shame of anything or any guilt of anything, hide it. Don't talk about it. Don't share it. It's between you and nobody else's business. But the problem is when you bottle up those feelings for so long, it doesn't help, right? And other people might not know what's going on. You can't get help if you're not telling people what's happening. And so being able to come out and share is so brave. Like 100% respect to everybody who's gone through recovery, gotten out, and been able to, even the people who go through recovery multiple times, it's not always a one trick pony, right? And so 100% respect for me and so many other people who, I don't have a lot of viewers right now, but I know a lot of people have been sending me messages saying, "Thank you for that story. That is exactly what I've needed to hear." And it's been amazing, a great thing to feel. And being able to watch you on Instagram and social media and the things that you're doing has been a lot of fun. And so I've really been enjoying it. I know my wife does for sure. She absolutely loves seeing stories of people, especially in the LDS church, who have gone through hard times and come back and said, "I love this gospel. I love Jesus Christ. I love Heavenly Father." So kudos to you. 100% kudos to you on everything you've gone through. And usually I always say, "Hey, what was your why?" I ask everybody what that was and what was the point, but you covered those. You already covered those. You just said, "I need to do it for myself," which is important for people to know. And I just did a podcast with someone named Brooke Rushton. She came over and we talked about her brother who died from fentanyl. And she was the one, and like in your family, she was trying so hard to help him all the time, and it was wearing her out. But one of the biggest things that she said that we took away was, you can't force someone to go through rehab. They have to want it. They have to want treatment, right? And yeah, maybe forcing them does work for some people, but for the most part, someone has to want it. And you did that. And you explained how you decided to go that one time and you worked through it and everything. And so it really helped you out. So you already answered all the questions I usually ask everybody. The one thing I would say though, and you kind of touched on this, but if there is someone who's going through the same situations you are right now, what is something you would tell them so that they can have hope and kind of get out of the situation? What is some advice you would give them?
So advice I'd give is, like you said, don't hide away from it. If you keep it bottled up and people don't know you need help, or people don't know that you're struggling mentally or physically or whatever, then it's harder for you to receive help. If you put it out there, and even I've seen people on Facebook to in like a community page in like St. George, like, I'm really struggling with addiction. Like, where can I go? And I responded on there. There was so many likes, so many comments where they were just like, "You got this, and you're loved." And like, I told them where these meetings are, where the LDS 12-step meetings are. There's NA, there's AA, there's all these places where you can go and seek refuge with people who are like minded and who are also trying to help themselves. You can tell your family, you can tell your friends, you can tell strangers on the internet, and I'm sure someone out there will tell you that you are loved, for one, and for two, where you can go and try and find help. Another thing is, if you are struggling, like I really struggled in St. George. I lived there recently, but that's because there's nothing that could make me use right now. But if you're not at that point, try and maybe move somewhere. Ask a family member, a cousin, or a friend or something if you can come live with them, or if you are able to just move. Because that is a big part of why I kept relapsing, is because I kept going back to St. George and hanging out with my old friends again. And that's super hard to stop doing that if you're still in the exact same environment around the exact same people. You can change your number, you can delete your Facebook or friends on your Facebook, but you have to make all these changes as boundaries put in place to help yourself. And you are your number one priority if you're trying to get clean. It doesn't matter if you're hurting someone's feelings. I still stay in contact with friends who are struggling, but I don't put myself in situations where I'm not safe. And that's what you have to do for yourself. Um, but yeah, I would just say if you're looking for help, you need to let people know that you're looking for help so that people can help you and be there to support you, because it is very hard and it's hard to do alone.
Oh, 100. Yeah. There's only been two people I've met who said, yeah, I did it on my own, no recovery, and I just did it by myself. And it doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
Definitely. It is one of those hard things. And again, recovery community, one of the best communities out there. I've never seen such a positive
Oh, yeah.
force that's out there like the recovery community. It's been so cool. I mean, all the negative stuff that the algorithm used to send me on social media, that was just like, what is going on? Now it's all recovery stuff.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the support they have. So again, if you are looking to get out of any sticky situations, go find help, because there are resources out there. There's a lot more resources than when I was younger. And a lot of my friends who went through the same thing, they passed away or they're still struggling today. So check it out. Kiaya, thank you again so much for coming. I appreciate you for taking your time, telling your story, and spending the time with me. And so for all the viewers, we'll see you guys next time.